In the heart of bustling New York City, where skyscrapers gleamed under neon lights and the elite dined in marble halls, one cleaner moved like a ghost. At midnight, when the lights dimmed, she stole leftover food from the upscale restaurant. But when her billionaire boss secretly followed her, what he discovered that night didn't just shatter his world, it transformed his life forever. Stay with us till the end of this story, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Amid the towering skyline stood a beacon of luxury. People called it the Empire Lux. By day, its glass facades mirrored the clouds. By night, it shimmered like a diamond. The Empire Lux towered over Midtown Manhattan like a goddamn crown jewel, its glass facade catching the neon glow from Times Square and throwing it back at the night sky. Limos pulled up curbside, disgorging hedge fund bros in tailored suits and trophy wives dripping in diamonds, all strutting into the marble lobby where chandeliers hung like frozen fireworks. Valets hustled, bellhops flashed plastic smiles, and the air hummed with the low buzz of deals being sealed over $50 cocktails. This was Victor Hale's kingdom, built on his old man's ruthless playbook, where every square foot screamed profit, and mercy was just another word for weakness. Victor leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window in his penthouse office, 40 stories up, nursing a scotch that burned just right. At 42, he looked every bit the self-made titan, sharp jawline, eyes like steel traps, and a custom suit that cost more than most folks' rent. But tonight the view blurred as memories clawed their way back. His mom, Elena, slipping out the back door of their old Brooklyn brownstone with a loaf of bread tucked under her arm. "Victor, honey, sometimes a full belly's the only prayer someone needs," she'd whisper, ignoring his dad's bellows about handouts breeding losers. Dad had drilled it into him. "Business is war, son. No prisoners." Victor had listened, climbing the ladder by slashing cost, firing slackers and turning the empire into a cash machine. But Elena's ghost, it lingered, a quiet ache he drowned in work and whiskey. Down in the bowels of the hotel, Maria Santos clocked in for her graveyard shift, the fluorescent lights buzzing like angry bees overhead. She tugged on her faded uniform, gray polyester that hung loose on her frame, and jammed her feet into scuffed rubber sneakers. At 35, Maria had the kind of tired beauty that came from scraping by. Dark hair pulled into a no-nonsense ponytail, eyes that missed nothing, and hands calloused from scrubbing toilets and mopping endless floors. She'd crossed the border from Mexico 10 years back, chasing the American dream, but it turned out to be more like a hamster wheel. Low wages, no benefits, and a constant grind to send money home to her sister's kids. "Just keep your head down, Maria," she'd mutter to herself in the mirror each night. Eyes on the prize. The clock hit midnight, and the upscale restaurant, Le Summit, finally emptied. Waitstaff cleared the last tables, stacking plates smeared with remnants of filet mignon and truffle fries. Maria waited in the shadows of the service corridor, heart pounding like it always did. She knew the drill. Slip in quietly, grab what wouldn't be missed, and ghost out. No one cared about scraps heading to the trash can anyway. But tonight, the kitchen felt heavier, the hum of the industrial fridge mocking her nerves. She peeked around the corner, clear, and darted to the leftover trays. Her fingers trembled as she scooped up untouched steak slices, a few rolls still warm, and a heap of salad greens that screamed waste in this ritzy joint. "Easy does it," she whispered, wrapping everything in clean liners and stuffing it into black nylon bags. Not too much, just enough to stretch. She sealed them tight, tucked the haul into her oversized tote hidden behind the mop bucket, and wiped down the counter twice for good measure. Sweat beaded on her forehead. One wrong move, and she'd be out on her ass back to square one. But those kids, God, the kids. Their faces flashed in her mind, hungry eyes, gap-toothed grins. She couldn't let them down. Bag secured against her side, she slipped out, footsteps silent on the linoleum. Upstairs, Victor scrolled through security feeds on his tablet, a habit born from paranoia. His dad had always said, "Trust no one. Employees are just thieves in uniforms." The screens flickered, lobby clear, elevators humming, hallways empty. Then, a glitchy corner cam caught movement in the kitchen annex. He zoomed in, brow furrowing. There she was, the cleaner, Maria something or other from HR files, fiddling with trays, bagging stuff like a pro. Son of a bitch, he muttered, setting down his glass. Theft? In his hotel? Rage bubbled up, hot and familiar. Fire her ass, call the cops, make an example. But then it hit him. Elena again. That night, when he was 10, he was watching her from the kitchen window as she handed a sandwich to a homeless vet on the stoop. Mom, Dad's gonna flip, he'd hissed. She just smiled, ruffling his hair. Sometimes flipping's what needs to happen, kiddo. Victor rubbed his temples, the scotch turning sour in his gut. Why now? Why this nobody? He replayed the feed, her hands steady but quick, face pinched with something that looked less like greed and more like desperation. Curiosity gnawed at him, overriding the anger. What the hell are you up to? He growled at the screen. The hotel pulsed around them, oblivious. In the lobby, a late-night guest complained about room service, tying up the front desk. Valets smoked out back, trading jokes about the rich pricks inside. Maria punched out at the employee exit, tote slung over her shoulder, the weight a secret comfort. She stepped into the cool New York night, the city lights swallowing her whole. Victor watched her vanish on the feed, then grabbed his keys. Something tugged at him, a thread from the past, unraveling his ironclad rules. Maria hustled to the subway, the A train rattling her bones as it barreled downtown. She clutched the bag like a lifeline, mind racing through tomorrow's bills and the kids' endless needs. One day at a time, she breathed, leaning against the pole. Back at the Empire, Victor paced his office, the city sprawl mocking his unease. He slammed his fist on the desk, soft, just once, then straightened. No, he wouldn't call security yet. He'd watch. He'd wait. Because deep down, in the cracks of his armored heart, Elena's voice echoed, "Look closer, Victor. People aren't always what they seem." The night dragged on. Maria emerged in the Bronx, weaving through dimly lit streets where bodegas flickered and stray cats eyed her warily. She didn't look back, never did. Victor, still glued to his feeds, felt a strange pull, like the city itself was conspiring. He poured another drink, but it sat untouched. The Empire Lux gleamed on, a fortress of luxury hiding shadows in its depths. Victor stared at the frozen frame on his tablet. Maria's pixelated face caught mid-motion, bag clutched like a guilty secret. What the hell, he muttered, slamming the device down hard enough to rattle his scotch glass. Theft in his house? That was a gut punch. Straight-up betrayal in a world where loyalty was bought and sold. But Elena's whisper cut through the rage. Look closer! He grabbed his coat, keys jangling in his fist, and bolted for the private elevator. No time for second-guessing. He'd tail her himself, see what this cleaner was really up to. The doors whooshed shut, dropping him 40 floors in a heartbeat, his pulse racing like he'd just spotted a stock crash. Out in the garage, Victor slid into his black SUV, the leather seats cool against his back. The engine purred to life, a low growl that matched his mood. He peeled out onto the street, tires gripping the asphalt, weaving through late-night traffic toward the employee exit. There, Maria emerging from the side door, tote slung low, head down against the chill. She hustled toward the subway entrance a block away, blending into the crowd of night owls and shift workers. Victor hung back, 3 cars behind, eyes locked on her ponytail bobbing under the streetlights. Come on, show me your play, he grumbled, fingers drumming the wheel. This wasn't his scene, chasing shadows like some PI from a bad thriller. But damn if it didn't stir something raw, a mix of fury and that nagging pull from his mom's old lessons. Maria descended the grimy steps into the subway station, the air thick with that unmistakable New York funk, stale piss and hot pretzels. She swiped her MetroCard, the turnstile clunking open, and squeezed onto the platform just as the A train screeched in. Bodies pressed in tight, she grabbed a pole, tote wedged between her feet, heart still hammering from the close call in the kitchen. Stay cool, she breathed, staring at her reflection in the darkened window. The kids needed this. Hell, they needed her not to screw up. The doors slid shut, and the train lurched forward, rattling through the tunnels like an old beast. Above ground, Victor cursed under his breath as he paralleled the tracks, GPS app glowing on his dash. The A-line shot downtown, then hooked toward the Bronx, far from the glittering midtown bubble. He floored it through yellow lights, dodging cabs and delivery bikes, the city blurring into streaks of neon and shadow. "Where are you headed, Maria?" he said aloud, voice echoing in the empty cab. Part of him wanted to slam on the brakes, call it a night, fire her remotely. But Elena's face flashed, her sneaking food to the neighbor kid whose dad got laid off, ignoring his old man's red-faced rants. "It's not stealing if it's saving, Victor." Bullshit, he'd thought back then. Now, it gnawed at him, turning suspicion into this weird itch he couldn't scratch. The train spat Maria out at the 161st Street stop in the Bronx, the platform echoing with distant shouts and the drip of leaky pipes. She climbed the stairs two at a time, emerging into a neighborhood that hit like a reality check. Cracked sidewalks, graffiti-tagged walls, and corner stores with iron grates rolled down. The air smelled of fried plantains from a food cart and exhaust from idling buses. She pulled her jacket tighter, scanning the shadows out of habit. Too many nights walking these blocks alone, dodging catcalls and worse. The tote bumped against her hip, a reminder of the hall inside, steak that could stretch into tacos, rolls for breakfast. "Almost there," she whispered, quickening her pace down a side street where streetlights flickered like they were on their last legs. Victor parked a block back, killing the lights and engine. He watched her through the tinted windshield, a dark silhouette against the urban grit. Stepping out felt like crossing into enemy territory. The Bronx wasn't his turf, not with its bodegas blasting reggaeton and groups of kids huddled on stoops, laughing over cheap beers. He tugged his collar up, sticking to the shadows, footsteps light on the uneven pavement. His heart thudded heavy, a mix of adrenaline and something like fear. Not of the streets, but of what he might find. "This is nuts," he thought, dodging a puddle that reflected the moon like shattered glass. He'd tailed shady investors before, sniffed out embezzlers in boardrooms, but a cleaner with scraps? It felt personal, like peeling back his own scabs. Maria turned onto a narrower alley, the kind where trash cans overflowed and stray dogs sniffed at curbs. She knew every crack, every blind spot, had mapped them out after too many close calls with sketchy types. Her mind raced. What if someone at work noticed? What if the kids were still up, worrying? She gripped the tote strap tighter, knuckles white. "You got this," she muttered, breath fogging in the cool air. The weight in the bag wasn't just food, it was survival, a buffer against the eviction notices and empty fridge stares. From across the street, Victor mirrored her path, staying low behind parked cars. A chain-link fence rattled in the wind, and he froze, pulse spiking. "Get a grip, Hale," he hissed to himself. The neighborhood closed in, boarded up windows, faded murals of better days, the distant wail of a siren. It clashed with his penthouse views, stirring up old guilt from Brooklyn roots he'd buried under billions. Elena would have walked these streets without flinching, handing out whatever she could. Why her, he wondered, eyes narrowing on Maria's form ahead. Suspicion burned hot, but curiosity edged it out, pushing him forward like a junkie chasing a fix. Maria paused at a crosswalk, traffic whooshing by, and Victor ducked behind a van, close enough to hear her soft exhale. She didn't glance back, too focused, too routine. He wiped sweat from his brow, the strangeness hitting hard. A billionaire playing spy in the boonies. But damn, it felt alive, cracking the numb shell he'd built. The light changed. She crossed, vanishing around a bend. Victor followed, the gap closing, tension coiling tight in his gut. Deeper into the Bronx, the streets grew quieter, more worn. Apartment blocks with peeling paint, fire escapes sagging like tired bones. Maria's steps echoed faintly, leading toward a cluster of rundown buildings. Victor hung back, breath shallow, the night wrapping around him like a noose. Whatever she was hiding, he was about to crack it wide open. Maria rounded the corner onto her block, the rundown apartment building looming like a beat-up old fighter who'd taken one too many punches. Paint peeled in strips from the bricks, windows patched with duct tape, and the front stoop sagged under years of neglect. She paused at the chain-link gate, scanning for any sketchy figures lurking in the shadows. Standard procedure in this neck of the woods. "Home, sweet hell," she muttered, pushing through with a creak that echoed down the alley. Her tote felt heavier now, the food inside a fragile promise. She climbed the cracked steps, knuckles rapping a quick rhythm on the scarred door. Two short, one long, their secret code. Inside, chaos erupted before the door even swung open. Tiny feet pounded the floorboards, voices tumbling over each other like puppies in a pile. "Maria, is that you? Food time!" The latch clicked, and the door flew wide, 5 little bodies launching at her like missiles. The oldest, Javier at 11, wrapped his skinny arms around her waist first, face buried in her jacket. Then came Sophia, 9, with her wild curls tugging at the tote. "What did you bring? Smells like heaven!" Little Diego, 7, hopped on one foot, grinning ear to ear despite the bruise on his cheek from playground roughhousing. Anna, 6, clung to her leg like a koala, whispering, "Missed you." And Tommy, the baby at 4, toddled forward with a wheezy cough, eyes wide and watery. Maria laughed, a sound that cut through the exhaustion like a lifeline, dropping to her knees to hug them all at once. "Whoa, easy there, munchkins. You'll knock me flat." She ruffled Javier's hair, feeling the sharpness of his ribs under his threadbare tee. These kids, they weren't hers by blood, but damn if they didn't own her heart. Picked up one by one from the streets, Javier begging outside a bodega, Sophia crying alone in a park after her mom OD'd, Diego scavenging trash cans, Anna abandoned at a bus stop, Tommy left in a cardboard box like yesterday's news. "All right, inside before the neighbors start yapping," she said, herding them back into the cramped living room that doubled as everything else. Victor crouched behind a rusted dumpster across the street, breath fogging the air as he peered through the gaps. His knees ached from the cold concrete, but he didn't budge, eyes glued to the scene unfolding. The door opened, light spilling out like a weak flashlight beam, and those kids swarmed her. Laughter mixed with coughs, their voices high and hungry. "Holy shit," he whispered, gut twisting. Not drugs, not resale. This? Kids? He shifted for a better angle, heart slamming against his ribs. The building's side window was cracked open, curtains thin as paper. He edged closer, slipping into the shadows beside it, close enough to hear the shuffle inside. Maria set the tote on the rickety kitchen table, a Formica relic scarred from too many meals scraped together. The apartment reeked of damp walls and cheap detergent, but she'd scrubbed it spotless anyway. Thin mattresses lined one wall, stacked like dominoes during the day. A single bulb swung overhead, casting harsh shadows. "Okay, lineup time," she said, voice firm but warm, like a coach rallying the team. The kids scrambled into a semicircle on the worn linoleum, eyes locked on the bag. She unzipped it slowly, pulling out the wrapped bundles with hands that shook just a tad, from fatigue, not fear. First, the steak slices. She portioned them out on mismatched plates, a few pieces each, no favorites. "Javier, you get extra protein. You're growing like a weed." He beamed, but his eyes darted to Tommy, who hacked another cough. Sophia snatched her plate, inhaling the scent. "This beats PB&J any day." Diego shoveled in a bite, mumbling thanks around a mouthful. Anna nibbled slowly, savoring it as if it were gourmet. Tommy wheezed, spoon trembling in his tiny fist. Maria knelt beside him, steadying his hand. "Breathe easy, buddy. Here, let me help." She fed him a morsel, her own stomach growling loud enough to hear, but she ignored it. Victor pressed against the wall outside, ear to the cracked window, the chill seeping through his coat. He watched her divvy it up, precise, loving, like a mama bear rationing for winter. But she didn't touch a plate. Instead, she hovered, wiping chins, encouraging seconds for the littlest ones. "Tommy needs more. He's been hacking all day," Javier piped up, pushing his leftovers over. Maria nodded, sliding it to the kid, her face pinching as she bit back a yawn. "Good call, champ." She tore off a tiny corner of a roll for herself, chewing mechanically, eyes never leaving the group. Their laughter bubbled up, faces lighting like Christmas trees over scraps that'd be trash back at the Empire. The sight hit Victor like a freight train, Tears stung his eyes. Hot, unwelcome. Elena flooded back. That winter when the neighbors lost heat, she sneaked over with soup, skipping her own dinner so the pot stretched further. "Mom, you're starving yourself," he'd whined as a kid. She just hugged him tight. "Nah, kiddo. Full hearts don't feel empty bellies." He'd rolled his eyes then, but now, watching Maria sacrifice, her frame thin from pulling doubles, it cracked him wide open. These weren't props. They were real kids, gaunt cheeks and bright eyes, devouring what she risked everything for. "Jesus," he breathed, wiping his face roughly. She wasn't a thief. She was a goddamn hero in rubber sneakers. Inside, the meal wound down. Sophia burped loudly, sparking giggles. Diego high-fived her. Anna curled against Maria's side, full and sleepy. Tommy's cough eased a bit, color creeping back to his cheeks. Maria gathered plates, rinsing them in the sink with water that sputtered brown at first. "Story time soon, but brush those teeth first," she ordered, voice laced with that bone-deep desire only single moms knew. The kids scattered to a tiny bathroom, brushing with shared toothbrushes, their chatter a balm against the night's grind. Victor stayed rooted, chest heaving. The raw love in that room, it shamed his polished life, his empty penthouse echoing with silence. Elena's words rang louder. "Amying ban ko the ku motlin hon." No, this was bigger. Maria wasn't just saving bellies. She was stitching souls together. He stepped back slowly, shadows swallowing him, but the warmth from that window lingered, thawing the ice he'd let harden his heart. Victor froze against the cold brick wall, the cracked window framing Maria like a gritty snapshot from someone else's life. Inside, the kids devoured their plates, forks scraping plastic with the urgency of starving wolves. Javier wolfed down his steak, eyes flicking to his siblings, making sure no one got shorted. Sophia chewed slowly, savoring each bite like it was her last supper, a small smile cracking her tough kid facade. Diego shoveled in mouthfuls, laughing mid-chew when juice dribbled down his chin. Anna picked at hers daintily, like a princess at a tea party, while Tommy gnawed on his portion with tiny teeth, his wheezy breaths punctuating the feast. Maria knelt in the middle of it all, her back to the window, hands hovering like a conductor mid-symphony. She didn't grab a plate, didn't even glance at the leftovers. Instead, she leaned in close to Tommy, wiping his mouth with the hem of her sleeve when he coughed mid-bite. "Slow down, little man. Let it settle," she murmured, her voice a soothing rumble that cut through the chaos. When Anna's portion ran low, Maria slid over a chunk from the communal pile without a second thought. "Here, mija, you need the greens to grow strong." Anna beamed, but Victor caught the hollow in Maria's cheeks, the way her stomach growled loud enough to echo in the quiet moments. She ignored it, eyes locked on the kids, her face a mask of pure, unfiltered joy mixed with bone-deep weariness. The scene punched Victor square in the chest. He clenched his fists, nails digging into palms as tears blurred the view. "God damn it," he whispered, swiping at his eyes like they betrayed him. This wasn't theft. This was survival on steroids. Maria sat there, cross-legged on the dingy floor, watching them eat like it was the Super Bowl and her team was winning. When Diego finished first and eyed Tommy's plate, she shot him a look, sharp but loving. Buddy, he needs every bite." Diego backed off, grinning sheepishly, and Maria ruffled his hair, pulling him into a quick side hug. Her own roll sat untouched on the table, crumbling a bit at the edges, but she didn't reach for it. Instead, she steadied Tommy's trembling spoon again, feeding him the last scraps herself. Elena's ghost slammed into him full force. Victor squeezed his eyes shut, but the memory played anyway. That Thanksgiving when the power went out next door, and Mom packed up half their turkey for the family across the street. "But Mom, that's our dinner," he'd whined, stomach rumbling. She'd knelt, eyes level with his. "Kiddo, a shared meal fills more than one belly. It fills hearts." Dad had exploded later, calling it bleeding heart bullshit, but Elena just smiled, skipping her own slice to make sure Victor got seconds. Victor had wolfed it down back then, oblivious. Now watching Maria do the same, starving so these strays could thrive, it ripped him open. Tears streamed hot down his face. He didn't bother wiping them anymore. "She's you, Mom," he choked out, silent, throat tight as a vice. Maria shifted, turning slightly, and Victor ducked lower, heart jackhammering. She scooped up the empty plates, stacking the neatly in the sink, her movements efficient but tender. The kids leaned against her now, full bellies making them drowsy. Sophia yawned wide, head dropping to Maria's shoulder. "That was the best, Maria. Like restaurant food." Maria chuckled low, pulling the girl close. "Yeah. Well, don't get used to it. We got to make it last." But her eyes softened, scanning each face like she was memorizing them. When Tommy hacked another cough, she rubbed his back in slow circles, whispering, "Breathe with me, okay? In, out." He mimicked her, tiny chest rising and falling, trust absolute in those big eyes. Victor's knees buckled a bit. He leaned heavier on the wall, the rough texture grounding him. How the hell did she do this? Scrubbing toilets all night, then playing mom to 5 lost souls in this dump. No backup, no breaks, just raw grit and love that burned brighter than his penthouse lights. He thought of his own empty fridge upstairs, stocked with takeout he barely touched, and shame twisted his gut. Not a thief, he realized, the word thief tasting like ash. A saint in sneakers. Elena's voice echoed louder. "See the person, Victor, not the label." He'd ignored it for years, building walls with dollar bills. But this cracked them wide. Inside, the kids started winding down. Javier helped clear the table, his lanky arms moving with a kid's awkward grace. "Maria, can we have story time now?" Diego bounced on his toes, energy spiking post-meal. She nodded, exhaustion etching lines around her eyes, but her smile held firm. "Sure thing. Just a short one tonight." She herded them to the mattresses, unfolding them like a pro, tucking in threadbare blankets that smelled of laundry soap. Tommy curled against her side, thumb in mouth, as she launched into a tale about a brave mouse outsmarting a cat. Her voice rising and falling, pulling giggles from the group. Victor couldn't tear away. Each word she spun wrapped around him, too, a warmth seeping through the cold night air. When she finished, kissing foreheads one by one, he felt it. The shift. No firing, no cops. Hell, he'd help if he could figure it out. "You showed me, Mom," he thought, tears drying, sticky on his cheeks. Maria dimmed the light, sitting vigil as the kids drifted off, her hand stroking Tommy's hair through another soft cough. She didn't eat the last roll, wrapped it instead, tucking it away for morning. Victor stepped back finally, shadows claiming him, but the revelation burned bright. Goodness like hers didn't steal. It saved. Sunlight sliced through the blinds in Victor's penthouse office, casting sharp shadows across his desk like prison bars. He hadn't slept a wink, tossed and turned all night, Maria's face and those kids haunting him like ghosts from a bad dream. Elena's voice looped in his head. "See the heart, Victor." He slammed his coffee mug down, the dark brew sloshing over the rim. "Screw it," he muttered, punching the intercom button. "Get Maria Santos up here, now." His assistant's voice crackled back, hesitant. "The cleaner, sir? Right away." Victor paced, tie askew, mind racing. Fire her? Hell no. But spill that he'd tailed her like some creep? This could blow up, but damn if it didn't feel right, like cracking open a door he'd nailed shut years ago. Down in the bowels of the Empire Lux, Maria scrubbed the lobby restrooms, knees aching on the cold tile. Her shift dragged, mind replaying last night's meal, the kids' grins, Tommy's cough easing. "One more day down," she whispered, wringing out the mop. The intercom buzzed overhead. "Maria Santos to Mr. Hale's office. Immediately." Her stomach dropped like a rock in a pond. "Oh, God," she gasped, hands freezing mid-ring. Caught. Busted. Visions flashed. Pink slip. Deportation fears. The kids scattered to the wind. She wiped her palms on her uniform, legs wobbly as she headed for the service elevator. "Keep it together," she hissed at her reflection in the metal doors. But her heart hammered wild, throat dry as sandpaper. The elevator dinged at the top floor, spitting her into a world of polished wood and city views that screamed money. Victor's assistant glanced up, eyes wide. "He's waiting." Maria nodded, knuckles white on her tote. Empty now, but heavy with dread. She knocked softly, voice cracking. "Mr. Hale!" The door swung open. Victor stood there, sleeves rolled up, face unreadable. "Come in, Maria." She stepped inside, the carpet swallowing her footsteps, and perched on the edge of a leather chair like it might bite. He closed the door with a click that echoed like a gunshot. Victor leaned against his desk, arms crossed, studying her like a puzzle he couldn't solve. "I know about the food," he said flatly, voice low. Maria's world tilted. She slid to her knees, tears spilling hot. "Please, sir, don't fire me. I swear it's not for me. The kids, they're orphans I picked up off the streets. No family, no nothing. I couldn't just walk by." Her words tumbled out, choked with sobs, hands clasped like in prayer. Victor's jaw tightened. He knelt, pulling her up gently but firmly. "Get up! I'm not firing you." She blinked through tears, confusion knitting her brow. "What?" He paced again, rubbing his neck. "I followed you last night. Saw the whole thing. The apartment, the kids, you feeding them scraps while you went hungry." Maria's face drained white, a gasp escaping. "You followed me?" Shame burned her cheeks. She stared at the floor, fists clenched. Victor stopped, voice softening. "It reminded me of my mom, Elena. She was like you, always giving, even when we had squat. Dad hated it, called it weak, but she taught me real strength in giving." He swallowed hard, eyes distant. "You brought that back. So no punishment. I want to help." Maria sat back, stunned, wiping her face with her sleeve. "Help? Why?" Victor pulled out his phone, dialing fast. "Because it's right. Hang on." Minutes later, his real estate guy was on speaker. "Boss, you want a house in Queens? Family friendly? Quick close?" Victor nodded. "Yeah, 3 bedrooms. Yard, near good schools, furnished. Make it happen today." He hung up, turning to her. "That's step 1. The kids get a real home. No more leaks or coughs from damp walls." Maria's mouth gaped. Tears flowed fresh, but hopeful now. "Mr. Hale, I can't pay you back." He waved it off. "Not about that. In schools, I'll cover tuition at the local public, but if they need private, I'll do it. Health too. Doc on call, especially for the little one with the cough. Asthma meds, checkups, whatever." She shook her head, overwhelmed, a small laugh bubbling through sobs. "This is crazy. Thank you." Victor cracked a rare smile, the weight lifting a bit. "Call me Victor. And yeah, it is crazy, but seeing you last night flipped my world." They talked details, addresses, timelines, Maria's voice steadying as hope sank in. But mid-sentence, his office door burst open. Marcus Hale stormed in, face red as a tomato, tablet clutched like a weapon. "What the hell, Vic?" Marcus barked, slamming the door. At 38, he was the spitting image of their old man. Slick hair, sharp suit, eyes hungry for the bottom line. As CFO and resident bean counter, he lived for audits, slashing payroll to boost margins. "I just got wind from accounting. You're wiring funds for some house in Queens? And who's this?" He jabbed a finger at Maria, sneer curling his lip. She shrank back, but Victor stepped between them, voice steel. "Back off, Mark. This is Maria, employee, and none of your damn business." Marcus laughed bitterly, pacing like a caged bull. "Business? This is company cash. You're blowing it on a cleaner's sob story?" I dug a bit. "Orphans? Yeah, right. Probably a scam to bleed you dry." Maria's eyes flashed fire. She stood, voice trembling but strong. "It's no scam. Those kids are really hungry and scared. I'd die before using them." Marcus scoffed. "Save the drama. Vic, this tanks our stock if it leaks. Charity? We're not a soup kitchen. We're Hale Enterprises. Dad would roll in his grave." Victor squared up, fists balled. "Dad's way left us rich but empty. Mom knew better. Giving's what matters." Marcus threw up his hands. "Mom was soft, and look where it got her. An early grave from stress. This is waste, pure and simple. Cut the bleeding heart crap, or I'll block the transfers myself." Tension crackled. Victor's face hardened. Try it, little brother. This isn't up for debate. Marcus stormed out, door slamming, leaving silence thick as fog. Maria touched Victor's arm, hesitant. I don't want trouble. He shook his head, resolve firm. Let me handle him. This changes nothing. But in his gut, Victor knew the storm was just brewing. Marcus wouldn't quit easily. Marcus slammed his office door downtown at Hale Enterprises, the glass rattling in its frame. That idiot brother's gonna tank us, he snarled, dialing his PI buddy from the old days, some ex-cop turned snoop with a knack for dirt. Yeah, dig on Maria Santos, cleaner at the Empire. Immigration status, criminal record, anything juicy, and fast. He hung up, smirking as he fired off an anonymous email to a few hotel staffers. Boss playing favorites with the maid? Using kids as bait to hook the big fish. Watch your backs. The whispers started small, lobby chit-chat, break room buzz, but spread like wildfire in dry grass. By lunch, the front desk crew eyed Maria sideways, muttering, she's gotta be scamming him. No way a billionaire falls for that sob story. Maria felt the shift like a chill down her spine during her shift. Whispers hushed when she walked by, eyes darting away. In the employee lounge, she caught snippets. Using orphans to climb the ladder? Low blow. Her chest tightened. She dumped her mop bucket harder than needed, water sloshing over the edges. Ignore it, she told herself, but the words stung like salt in a cut. Back home that evening, unpacking boxes in the new queen's house, spacious rooms, fresh paint smelling like hope, she broke. Tears hit the countertop as she sliced veggies for dinner. What if they take it all away? The kids swarmed her, sensing the vibe. Javier hugged her tight. Maria, you okay? She forced a smile, throat thick. Yeah, champ, just tired. But inside, doubt gnawed. Maybe bail now, before the fallout hits the kids. Victor got wind of the rumors mid-meeting, his phone buzzing with texts from loyal staff. Bullshit, he growled, storming to HR. Nip this in the bud. Anyone spreading crap gets a warning. But Marcus had already escalated, cornering him in the boardroom later that day. See? Told you. Staff's pissed. Your little charity case is poison. Victor slammed his fist on the table. She's no case. She's family now. And you, hiring a PI? That's low, even for you. Marcus leaned in, veins bulging. Protecting the company, bro. Dad built this. You gonna let a maid tear it down? Victor's eyes narrowed. Mom would have helped her. And I'm using my own cash. No company dime. Marcus scoffed. We'll see about that. The tension simmered for days. Maria dodging stares at work. Victor fielding calls from worried execs. Then midnight hit like a hammer. Maria's phone lit up the dark bedroom. Tommy wheezing hard, chest heaving like a bellows gone wrong. Can't breathe, he gasped, face turning blue. Panic clawed her throat. She scooped him up, dialing Victor with shaking fingers. It's Tommy. Bad attack. Help. Victor bolted awake in his penthouse, keys in hand, before his feet hit the floor. On my way, hang tight. He gunned the SUV through empty streets, tires screeching into Queens. Bursting through the door, he found Maria rocking Tommy, tears streaming. Hospital now! He cradled the kid like his own, rushing to the ER at Mount Sinai, sirens wailing in his mind even without them. In the sterile waiting room, machines beeping like accusations, Victor paced while the docs hooked Tommy to oxygen. Maria clutched her rosary, whispering prayers. He's gonna be okay, Victor said, squeezing her shoulder. His touch steady, but inside, fury boiled at the world's cruelty. His phone rang. Marcus, voice smug. Heard about the kid drama. Using company insurance? That's fraud, Vic. I'll cut your access. Sue if I have to. This ends now. Victor's grip tightened on the phone. You slimy bastard. This is personal. My money, my call. Marcus laughed coldly. Not when it hits the books. Board's on my side. Victor hung up, rage fueling a deep dive into the company's ledgers on his laptop, right there in the waiting area. Dawn broke as Tommy stabilized. Docs diagnosing severe asthma, prescribing inhalers and follow-ups. Maria sagged in relief, hugging Victor impulsively. Thank you. For everything. He held her a beat longer, warmth cutting through the storm. But back at the office that morning, Victor unleashed hell. He called an emergency board meeting, presenting evidence he'd uncovered overnight. Marcus's cooked books, skimmed funds funneled to offshore accounts. Embezzlement, millions siphoned, Victor laid out, slides clicking like gunshots. Marcus blanched, stammering. This is a setup. But the proof stuck. Wire transfers, fake invoices. The board voted swiftly. You're out, Marcus. Fired. And expect charges. He stormed off, defeated, face ashen. Victor exhaled in his office after the weightlifting. Maria texted, Tommy's home, resting. You're our hero. He smiled genuinely for the first time in days. Conflicts raged, but he'd fought and won this round. Weeks blurred into a rhythm Victor never knew he craved. He ditched late-night board calls for backyard kickabouts in the Queens, the grass still smelling fresh underfoot. Heads up, Javier, he yelled, lobbing a soccer ball that arced high against the sunset. The kid trapped in Elliot with his chest, grinning wildly as he dribbled past Sophia's tackle. You're going down, Uncle Vic, Diego hollered, charging in for a steal. Victor laughed deep, the sound rusty but real, dodging their pint-sized attacks like a pro evading paparazzi. Tommy sat on the sidelines, inhaler in pocket, cheering wheezy but fierce. Anna tugged his sleeve. My turn. He scooped her up, spinning her till giggles peeled out, the world tilting joyfully. Inside, Maria watched from the kitchen window, stirring sauce that bubbled rich with garlic and tomatoes. Real groceries now, not scraps. Her heart swelled. Victor fit like he'd always been there, filling gaps she hadn't named. He helped with homework after, sprawled on the living room rug, brow furrowed over math problems. Okay, Sophia, carry the one, yeah? She'd nod, pencil scratching, while he shared bits of Elena. My mom, she'd bake these killer apple pies for the whole block. Said sharing's the secret ingredient. The kids leaned in, eyes wide, lapping up stories like dessert. Maria listened too, her guard cracking, warmth seeping in where doubt once camped. Evenings, Victor pitched in with chores, loading the dishwasher, folding laundry that smelled clean and hopeful. You don't have to, Maria said one night, hands brushing as they stacked towels. He caught her gaze, holding it. Want to? This feels right. She blushed, looking away, but the spark lingered, electric in the quiet house. Tommy's health turned a corner. Regular doc visits, meds on point, his coughs fading to rare hacks. Victor beamed like a proud dad at the progress reports. Kid's a fighter, he'd say, ruffling Tommy's hair. Maria opened up slowly, sharing her border-crossing tales over coffee. Thought the dream was just surviving. Now, this. Victor nodded, his own walls crumbling. You taught me surviving ain't enough. Thriving's the goal. Marcus lurked in the background at first, bitter texts pinging Victor's phone. Enjoy your fairy tale till it crashes. But cracks showed. He showed up unannounced one afternoon, tie loose, face pinched. Heard about the fund you're starting for orphans. Victor crossed his arms in the driveway. Yeah, Hale Foundation. Real help, not just tax write-offs. Marcus shifted, eyes dropping. I saw the pics you sent. The kids look happy. Silence stretched. Victor softened. Come meet 'em. Inside, the chaos hit Marcus like a wave. Kids piling on with questions, Maria offering coffee, wary but polite. Tommy handed him a crayon drawing. For you, Uncle Mark. Something broke in Marcus. Tears welled. I screwed up, Vic. Embezzling? Stupid. But watching you, maybe Mom was right. Victor clapped his shoulder. Join the fun. Make it right. Marcus nodded, rolling up his sleeves to help with dinner, his first real smile in years. Under a full moon in the backyard, fireflies dancing like tiny stars, Victor pulled Maria aside. The kids crashed inside, tuckered from play. He dropped to one knee on the dew-kissed grass, ring box flipping open to a simple diamond that caught the light. Maria, you flipped my world. Showed me rich ain't about banks, it's heart stuff. The kids, this home. I want in forever. Be their dad, your husband? Her breath hitched, tears glistening. Victor, Yes, hell yes. He slid the ring on, pulling her into a kiss that tasted like promise, the night wrapping them soft. The wedding went down simply at a local park. Picnic blankets, string lights, no fancy frills. Kids in mismatched outfits as ring bearers and flower girls. Javier giving Maria away with a puffed chest. I do, Victor said, voice thick, eyes locked on hers. Maria echoed, a grin splitting her face. Marcus stood best man, tie crooked, toasting later with cheap bubbly, to second chances, and not being a jackass. Laughter rippled. The kids danced wild under the stars, Tommy spinning without a wheeze. Life settled sweet, the house buzzing with homework fights and movie nights, Victor ditching overtime for family dinners. Marcus dove into the foundation, scouting orphan programs, his edge softening. Feels good, Vic. Real good. Victor nodded, watching Maria tuck in the kids, her laugh filling the halls. Emptiness gone, replaced by chaos he cherished. A small act, following a shadow, sparked it all, proving one spark could light a lifetime. And there you have it, folks. A story that reminds us all that true wealth isn't stacked in bank accounts or skyscrapers. It's in the quiet acts of kindness, the hearts we open, and the lives we lift along the way. Victor found his real fortune not in his empire, but in the love and family he built with Maria and those incredible kids. What about you? When was a time in your life when a small act of giving changed everything, for you or someone else? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and thoughts. Stick around for our next video, where we'll dive into another tale of unexpected redemption that just might restore your faith in humanity. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching and being part of this journey with us. See you soon. Take care out there.